Hey guys, and welcome to yet another video. So, this is a league challenge match that I had about a month ago. I'm sorry for uploading this super late, but better late than never. I promised to return with a whole bunch of like tabletop gameplay and maybe some vlogs. Might incorporate some vlogs in here and there, but yeah, I just wanted to show this match because I found it to be very important or very interesting, and you guys will see. Actually, I want to preface this by saying that I do not believe that my opponent had any kind of malicious intent or anything. I just want to use this video, or at least this match, as a teachable moment, right? Like, we want to play as clean as possible when we're playing in person, and to get to that level, we need some practice. Sometimes we just need to learn what to do and what not to do. So I guess we consider this match as a lesson of what not to do. Alright, so we're going to just jump right on into this first game here. So my opponent uses Nest Ball. He does a deck search. I believe he searches for a Pidgey. Yep, he gets a Pidgey. He shuffles. And I guess at this speed, it looks like he's shuffling pretty well, but since this is sped up, it was kind of slow. No offense to my opponent here, Anyway, that's all he does, and he passes. And my turn, I'm looking to see if I can get a turn 1 donk. Maybe I can get, I can draw into Solrock. I'm fortunate enough to get a Riolu down, and I play the Lily, and what I'm looking for here is a Solrock and basically an energy to attach. So I use Lunar Cycle here. I could have gotten a donk there, but I use Lunar Cycle to better establish myself, because definitely don't want to rush this knockout here, because earlier in this, well, later in this game, you'll see why. So essentially, I'm basically setting up my board as much as possible. I draw into a Fighting Gong, and I get the Fighting Energy. So now I am poised to get the knockout on this lone Froakie, and that's exactly what I do. So I retreat, and I get the knockout. Now we're heading into my opponent's turn here, and he promotes his lone Pidgey. And I believe he uses Artisan here. Yeah, so he uses Artisan, he picks the deck up, and I put the marker there just to denote that he's used Artisan. And I think I'm looking at my hand to see what exactly I'm planning on doing. But yeah, he benches his Froakie that he got off Artisan. And I think he's looking at his hand. I think he has like a Fez in hand. Yeah, he does have Fez in hand. And he has his own ability marker, so he uses the marker to flip the script, and then he benches a Froakie. And then, well, actually, wait, did you guys see what just happened there? Yeah, let's go back and check what just happened. All right, so he picks up the deck to search with Artisan. He gets the Froakie. He puts the deck down, and he does not shuffle it. He does not shuffle the deck. And then he benches Fez, and then uses Flip the Script, and then draws 3 cards without actually shuffling the deck. And then he benches a Froakie that he got off the draw. So yeah, this is essentially a lesson in learning clean play. So essentially, in this situation, he's drawing cards off of like a known, he knows the order of the deck, so he should technically know the top 3 cards of this deck. So yeah, on this scenario, I actually didn't even catch that the Froakie was benched straight from his Fez draw. So this is already kind of sketch. Either way, we're discussing what to do next. I want to get a judge, but however, like the judge is like super busy. I think he's upstairs, and I just decided, you know what, since he's looking kind of nervous, I just let him shuffle the hand back in. But I actually didn't even catch that the Froakie was from the Fez draw, so that was already kind of scuffed. So he gets a fresh 3 cards, so this is already looking really sketch. And then he plays Ultra Ball, but doesn't discard the items. So he plays his Ultra Ball and then gets Pidgey, but he doesn't discard the two items. And then he discards the 2 items after, which is already just... that's just a yikes. Honestly, if Ultra Ball allowed you to do that, that'd be actually insane. But yeah, when you read your cards, you must perform all the actions in the order that the card denotes. So Ultra Ball reads that you should discard 2 cards first, and then you search the deck, so you should discard the 2 cards first. So here, that's already like 3 major infractions, and we haven't even gotten past like turn 2. So I actually thought this would be a great opportunity to go over some tips and tricks on how exactly to practice playing clean. So when we play in person, we're not at the mercy of like TCG Live, or we don't have all the nice things like all the automated rule sets and stuff. All of the things are pretty much on the 2 players to monitor the board state. So I basically just want to go through some quick tips on how to play clean. So let's go. So we're going to be practicing how to play cleanly in a Pokemon TCG. Now, what I like to do is I like to play practice games by myself. Now, that might sound pretty lonely, and it kind of is, but you can't always get together and play Pokemon with friends every day. You know, we're all adults and we have, you know, responsibilities and stuff, but there's no shame in playing by yourself. That's what I'm saying. Or at least getting down the basics, right? So what we're here to do is to have fun and play as cleanly as possible. So what I like to do is I make sure that all my accessories are in order. I have my damage counters. My deck is sleeved up. I have ability markers / burn markers. You don't need to have them. There are certain texts you can do without that. Like you basically tap your cards, but I like to have ability markers too. You don't need them. And you have your play mat. This is a 2-player play mat here. But yeah, you don't need a play mat, but it's very nice to have them. These are also damage counters that I got off Etsy, which are pretty cool, right? So they have like 10s here, and they stack on top of each other, so they're nice too. Then we get 50s, and then we got like 100s. Yeah, they're pretty nice. So let's pretend that we're at a game, or at a League Cup, League Challenge. We have everything that we need, or maybe we're just at a local. And first thing I like to do, or one of the most important things to learn, is to learn how to shuffle. So you can practice mass shuffling with like just 60 random sleeved cards. They don't necessarily have to be a deck, but you know, sleeves are cheap enough that you can maybe afford to buy one to practice shuffling, because trust me, learning how to shuffle is essential because you're going to be doing it several times within a match. So learning how to shuffle is absolutely paramount to having a great time and playing cleanly, right? So what I like to do is mass shuffle, and what I like to do is come slice through the deck at an angle like that. So it comes pretty easy. If you do it like this, like straight up top, it's really difficult. But you can slice like that. It's pretty simple. I like to mash shuffle like 6 or 7 times. Just to get a rhythm. Right. Some people like to pile count. You don't need to do that, but if you want to count how many cards you have in your deck while pile counting, that works too. So every time I'm done shuffling, right, I like to mash shuffle like 6 or 7 times. Every time I'm done, I like to offer my opponent the opportunity to cut the deck. Now, if you're ever playing in a tournament or if you ever paid to play the game, like whether it be like a League Challenge, a League Cup, or like any kind of tournament, you always want to cut your opponent's deck, at least in my opinion, right? Because just to cut down on any kind of potential shenanigans that may happen. I'm not saying that your opponent is cheating, but you don't know, you don't really know. So just to make sure that's not really a factor, just cut your opponent's deck. And if you don't feel like they sufficiently randomized their deck enough, you can also shuffle their deck too. So I like to offer my opponent the opportunity to cut, and before we deal out the cards, I like to either flip a coin or roll a die to see who goes first. I do not have a die on me right now, so we will flip a coin to see who goes first. I'll call heads, and it's heads. So since I'm playing a Team Rocket's deck right now, I'll call it go first. So typically, I'll flip the coin, and the opponent will call it. If they call it right, then they get to choose who goes first. If they get it wrong, I get to choose, right? Since I'm playing by myself, I'm playing the roles of both people. So since I called it right, I'm going first. Alright, so we've offered the opponent the opportunity to cut the deck. We've established who's going first or second, and we deal out our opening hands. Alright, I want to do this as cleanly and quickly as possible. You want to practice this too, right? You want to go as fast as possible. So our hand is actually not bad, right? Probably want to lead with this guy. Don't forget to deal your prize cards too. Like, these are all important things. There have been many times where people have forgotten to put up their prize cards, and that's basically a game loss, and you don't want a game loss. So make sure that you have this opening scenario or sequence down packed, so there's no funny business. And yeah, so since we're going first, let me just adjust the camera here. Cool. So going first, I'll draw for turn. Cool. So I'll go ahead and play Team Rocket's Proton. So this is what I mean by playing a practice hand or practice game. Like, you can basically go through what exactly you're gonna do. So this is my initial deck search. So you can price check here and see what cards are missing based on the 60 cards that are, or the cards that are available to you. You can basically guess what's in your prize cards or whatever. But I don't like to be too thorough with this, and I like to go off vibes essentially. So I like to look at what's important. So any one-ofs or any like low count cards, I like to look for those. So I like to see if I have access to my ace pack, because you only play one in the deck. I think this deck I play a few wondrous patches, so I want to ensure that I have at least like one of them available to me. I think I only played two, so I think I may have prized one. I don't remember seeing it. So that's one here. That's two, so I didn't prize it. You can go through your energy, your supporter count. I think I play like 2 archers. I need to get the full arts of those. Well, this is an archer. Yeah, so I have to go with vibes. So with Proton, I'll get these 3 cards. And before I shuffle the deck, I always like to look at my hand to see if I'm ever going to go back in. And looking at this hand, I do have the opportunity to go back in with Team Rocket's Transceiver. So I have to make a decision whether I'm going to do that or not. And assuming we're playing a deck that item locks like Gardevoir or Dragapult, I probably do want to get rid of these item cards as soon as possible in the early game. So before shuffling, if I'm going to item search or deck search again, I'll just play the Team Rocket's Transceiver and go get a Team Rocket supporter, put in my hand. So our hand's looking pretty nice right now with 2 of these transceivers, so I think I'll get Ariana. Obviously I can't play that because I already played supporter in my first turn. Oh, I forgot to flip this card over, guys. Oh my gosh. See, that's why it's good to practice. Don't do what I did. Alright, so we got a card here, and we can essentially go back into the deck with another transceiver. Like, you don't need to. If you want to thin your hand and whatnot, if you anticipate being an item locked, you probably do. If not, then, you know, just keep your hand. But essentially, yeah, this is your game plan. You can put your hand down. I'll have a bunch of Team Rockets, me too. And then I'll probably attach return. And then I'll pass, right? And then, since I'm not going back into the deck anymore, I want to shuffle, right? I'm going to randomize the deck, right? You always want to make sure that you're randomizing the deck before you have to do any actions that require you to draw from your deck, right? You want to make sure it's as random as possible, so you want to shuffle. So, if let's say a Pokemon gets knocked out and you want to use Pheasantipity to draw for 3, make sure your deck is randomized first. If you did a deck search, make sure you shuffle the deck before you do your Faz, or you shuffle the deck before you do an Iono. Right? Or no, you don't shuffle the deck before you do an Iono, but yeah, make sure your deck is randomized. Essentially. So we'll pass, and then the opponent will do their actions, and then we'll do our actions here. So I will evolve the active. I will Team Rocket. I'll Earthen Vessel. Get rid of Team Rockets from 2. And we'll get 2 energies from the deck. So we'll get a Grass, and we'll get a Psychic. Right? And this is what I mean by practicing. So noticing I'm shuffling, because if my next action is, I'm probably going to end up playing Team Rocket's Ariana, and since that requires me to draw cards, I want to make sure my deck is random. So just search this. So we're going to shuffle the deck. Alright. Offer it to our opponent to cut. They'll cut or whatever. And then we'll proceed, right? I'll attach return. And then I'll play Team Rocket's Ariana. Drawing. Since I have nothing but Team Rockets in my hand, on my field, I'll draw up to 8 cards. Cool. So now our hand's looking pretty good. But here, I'll do another example. So I'll do Earthen Vessel again, discarding the Psychic energy. I'll search the deck for another 2 energies, so a Grass and a Psychic. Alright. So I'll do a Grass and a Psychic. And then I'll shuffle the deck because I don't plan on going back into the deck, or at the very least my next action requires my deck to be randomized. So I'll make sure it's sufficiently randomized. Offer to my opponent. They'll cut the deck. And then I'll use Team Rocket's Factory. I'll place that as my stadium. And since I just used a supporter for turn, or Team Rocket supporter, I can draw 2 extra cards. And that's essentially it, right? So now let's say that I want to use an ability, right? So let's just say that I didn't attach to the Spide Ops, and then I attached to this Tarantula, or I attached to anything, right? Let's say I do this, right? I could say I'm going to use Team Rocket Spide Ops ability, Charge Up, which essentially says that once in your turn, you may attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So I can only do it once per turn. So I could say I'm going to use Team Rocket Spide Ops ability, and I can use that as an ability marker. Say that I've used it. Use the coin. Search my discard pile for an energy and attach it, right? And that way it's clear to both me and my opponent that I've used this ability for turn. Or what other people like to do if you don't like having ability markers is you can tap your card. So you can say, okay, I'm going to tap the card, you have it like on a slant like this, and then you do the ability. So that way your opponent knows that you use that ability. One thing that people also like to do is they like to tap their cards as soon as they play them. So let's say that I bench this Team Rocket's Mewtwo. Or actually, let's say I bench this Team Rocket's Tarantula from my hand this turn. You can put them essentially, let me see if you can go further down here. But yeah, basically put them down tapped, so you know that they were played this turn and that they can't evolve. You use that with like markers too. But yeah, it's all just a starter deck, or just a starter, you know, tips and tricks on how to play cleanly in the Pokemon TCG. So have fun out there, enjoy practicing, enjoy playing, and you know, the best thing is to have fun. You can't have fun if, you know, you guys are messing up. So play clean, play smart, have fun. Also, this is an addendum, but if you're playing friendlies with like, a friend, or you know, you're just doing practice games, so you wanna, you know, basically learn how to get better. The goal is not to win in your practice games. The goal is to learn. So what I like to do if we're like practicing is I like to, whenever I do like the first initial deck search of the game, I like to flip over my prize cards. Now, don't do this in an official game, alright? Do not do that, okay? This is only for practicing. So especially if you're recording your gameplay and you want to have context as to what's prized, you do your first initial deck search of the game, and theoretically off that deck search you should know what's prized. You could sit there and like price check. You don't need to, but at the very least, for information purposes, and like if you're going back to review your VODs or watch your game over, just flip over your prize cards, so that way when you're watching it back you have more context as to why you made certain plays or why your opponent made certain plays, because they didn't have access to certain cards, right? Like here, my 4th Team Rocket Spideops is prize, so there might be some plays where I got the 4th Spideops, but it just stayed, I got the 4th Tarantula, but I essentially stayed a Tarantula until I got like my first prize cards, because it's not available to me, right? Everything else here I play 4 of. The 2 Ariana is kind of tough, but yeah. So essentially, yeah, just flip over your prize cards when practicing. When playing cleanly though, or when playing in a tournament, do not do this. Yeah, that's all I want to say.